Wow. Okay, so welcome everyone. Actually, I'm going to keep my um, camera focused on the mat. So, ah, today, just for the fun of it, let's start standing up. But what I like to do standing sometimes is stand in shavasana, and I call it Tadasana Shavasana. So let's go ahead and and actually we'll kind of work our way into this. So we're going to point our fingers, engaging our muscles right down to the earth, trying to keep our shoulders right over our rib cage and right under our ears, and press our feet down. Tuck the chin back just slightly so those ears are really over the shoulders. Take a breath, inhale, and then on your exhale, just stay in the same position, but relax all of those muscles. And bring that quality of Shavasana into our Tadasana. um, so maybe even close your eyes down and do a little scan of your body and just feel as you're scanning your body that maybe you can just relax in this standing position a little bit more. And let your fingertips just be loose and easy. Your shoulders, maybe you can even let your shoulders come towards the earth a little tiny bit more. Easing the tension so much, there's so much going on in our shoulders. The shoulder joint is the most complicated in the body. We have full range of motion there, things that no other areas of our body can do. So, and actually, you can even start maybe shaking your fingers a little bit, shaking your fingers and hands, and you might even bring that up, your arms, and just feel that that might bring a little more sense of ease in your upper body and even in your lower body, because it can just, all parts of our body communicate with each other, and then slow down that little movement in your hands until they come back to stillness, because everything is connected. Okay, and then let's go ahead and put our hands on below our belly around our dantian in Qigong, or in Chinese medicine. It's inside and down, 2 inches, kind of 2 inches below your navel, back behind it. And when you breathe into your hands down there. And exhale so you can feel some movement in your abdomen. And then we'll bring our hands up to our solar plexus. So our solar plexus is right above the navel. And if you trace your rib cage there, it's a little bit below where the rib cage, the two sides of the rib cage meet. Just breathe into the solar plexus area. And we can relax these parts of our body. It connects to everything, just like we were exploring. Okay, and now bring your hands, trying to keep the shoulders relaxed. And if I bring my thumbs behind, that helps me relax my shoulders a little bit. Bring them up into your rib cage and take a nice inhale and feel the rib cage expand. And exhale, contract. Expand and contract. And just one more time. Expand and contract. And then just let your arms rest at your sides and see if you can do a breath with all three, breathing into those three areas without the use of your hands. So we'll just take 3 breaths like that. So inhaling down to below the navel into the solar plexus, and then expanding the rib cage. And release it all. One more time, 2 more times. Abs, solar plexus, rib cage. And release it. Abs, solar plexus, and rib cage. Okay, so let's do a little bit of a sway. And let's concentrate on our neck for a second. So keep your gaze straight ahead, and as you twist around the neck. And so this is a way of getting into the neck without moving the head, moving the whole body. Nice. And then we'll slow that down. And then just release the head a little bit, making really gentle circles around the neck and shoulders with the head. Nice and easy does it. And then reverse direction. So just do it a couple times, and 3 or 4 times. And you'll hear some sounds, and that's perfectly normal. Actually helping let go of a little tightness and in the neck area. Okay, so now we'll work with our hips a little bit. And so first, you can actually, this can be your choice, hands on the rim of your pelvis or the small of your back. Probably the first one that we do. You might want to keep your hands on the rim of your pelvis, because we'll lift up one side and lift up the other. So what you can feel a contraction through that side of your body, but you feel hopefully the movement in your hips. So lift and lift and lift and lift. Okay, and then we'll come on back to a neutral position. And like I said, hands on the small of your back or your ribs, or the rim of your pelvis. And then we're going to make a tiny, tiny circle. It's like if there were a paintbrush coming down from your pelvic floor, you would draw a little paint, a beautiful circle between your feet here, so it's so tiny, so small. And then change directions. Make sure your shoulders stay relaxed as you're doing this. And then start making the circles a little wider, a little bigger. Keep going out as far as you can. Really feeling that your hips are moving as much as possible. There will be some movement in the shoulders, but you don't want to, really do it like this, because you're moving more of your upper body. You want to make sure that you get really into that lower body. Into the hips and pelvic area. Okay, and then change directions. Okay, nice. And then we're just going to go back and forth. So it's kind of like doing a cat-cow. So you can, when we go forward, there'll be a little slump in your back. And then when you go back, you'll open up. When you go, you'll have that curvature in your low spine, in your lower back. Okay. And then just roll it, loosen up those hips if you feel any tightness from those exercises. Okay, so I guess since we're standing, excuse me, since we're standing, and I would imagine that we're all pretty warmed up, let's just go ahead. And so, and we'll come to the floor more towards the end of the class, but we'll stay standing, like I said, and do a few standing poses. So first, we'll just start with our feet nice and wide. and feel the hips move. The triangle pose is a bit of a hip. There's a lot of hip movement actually in triangle pose. So we'll turn our left foot in and our right foot out, open up our arms, and then lift up your left hip. So you bring your right hip in and come down. Now they used to tell us to pull back on the back hip, but let that back hip come forward, and that can bring some ease into triangle pose for most of us. And so hold this. So let's get a feeling of what this pose is. You know, pulling our feet in towards each other, reaching our upper arm towards the sky, finding a comfortable position for our neck. And then from here, we'll turn our front palm up, our right palm up, and come into a reverse triangle, looking up to the sky and bringing our hand behind us. And again, just to feel this position, because then we'll flow with this a bit. Pull your feet together and breathe through the length of your body. And then we'll come on down and back into triangle pose. And we'll just flow back and forth from one to the other, trying to keep a little tiny softness in our knees, even though our legs are straight. So this is the third time we've come into the reverse triangle, and so we'll hold it here. And now we'll do a similar thing with warrior two. We'll add side angle here. So feel warrior two, stretch your arms away from each other. Also feel stability in your hips, and make as much as possible, you want your back arm parallel to the ground. As close to, or working towards that, and directly behind you. So warrior two, and we look over our front hand, and then we turn the palm on up and come to our peaceful warrior. So try to feel that your shoulders are relaxed in here. Really get a sense of this position. And then from here, we'll come all the way to side angle pose. We do this sequence pretty frequently, actually. So now we'll do it. We'll go and start in warrior two and just flow through all of these, trying to reach the end point with both hands at the same time. Now we'll flow down into side angle. So as the elbow touches, the arm comes over the head. Then as we come into Virabhadrasana 2, both arms settle at the same time. We'll turn the palm up to the sky. Into peaceful warrior, side angle. And Virabhadrasana 2. One more time through this little sequence. Slow, easy flow. When we slow down our movements, it helps us slow down our mind. And then we'll come back to looking straight ahead. And let's just maybe shake everything out before we go over to the other side. I was feeling a little tightness in my back calf. I don't know if that was you or not, but just in case. And of course, if that, always only do what's right for you. If you feel the need to come out of this sooner than I'm in it, then please feel free to do so. Okay, so we'll start with triangle. So our left foot is facing that away, and our right foot is turned in a little bit. We open up, and again, we really feel our hips move. So let's lift up our back hip, pull in our front hip, and stretching forward, come down, and we'll just hold this to get a sense of the pose for a breath or two. Pulling our feet in towards each other, engaging those leg muscles. And then we'll release that and come on up into our peaceful, our reverse triangle. And again, pull your feet together. Feel the hips, feel the length through the left hip. And then we'll come back and down, slow and easy this time, trying to arrive at the same place with both hands at the same time, or at not the same place, but that brings a nice quality of harmony to the movement. Synchronicity. Okay, and we'll come back and come into a Virabhadrasana 2. Feel that this lower leg is open. It's pressing towards the back edge of the mat, the width of the mat. So here we are in Warrior 2. Turning the palms up, we come into our peaceful warrior. And then down into our side angle pose. And feel side angle. Or maybe adjust your arms, see if you can make sure it's straight. And then we'll come on back and bring a little bit more of flow. Turn the palm up. Peaceful warrior. And then one more time. Into our peaceful. Back through Warrior 2 all the way down to side angle. Nice. And then coming on up and straightening that leg, turning both feet in. And let's just fold at the groin, leading with our sternum, our heart, come all the way down and release everything. And we'll do a little stretch, so walk over, it doesn't matter which side, walk over to one side and bend into it. And then come on back to center. And walk on over to the other side. So we get a little lunge here. Bend down there. Nice. And then come on back. Hands on the small of your back. Lift on up. Okay, and then heel toe everything in. Oh, and so before we come sitting, let's go ahead and do my good old sun salutations. I really just want to make sure that we work our upper body strength, that we keep our upper body nice and strong. Inhale out and up. Exhale, lead with the heart. Inhale halfway. Exhale, deepen. Bend your knees. Step on back into plank. And in knee plank or full plank. And slowly, slowly come on down. Hands by your floating ribs and lift on up. Come down. Curl the toes under or bend the knees. And lift up again. And into good old down dog. And let's just make a nice, easy down dog. Letting our knees, one knee bend and then the other knee bend, pedaling the dog, walking the dog. People call this different things. And you can even look under your arm, your opposite arm. If you bend your right knee, look under your left arm. And walk, come on up, walk your feet up a little bit. And what I'd love for you to feel is a real letting go in your head. So this is a forward fold, but with a little bit of a emphasis on really letting that head be nice and loose, like doing some yeses and nos with your head. So you feel that the crown of your head is pointing right down towards the earth. And it's okay to bend your knees or whatever. This is an inversion. And inversions just are so lovely for us because they get everything, the blood circulating in different ways. Okay, so from here, either bending your knees or keeping your legs straight, whatever you want to do, you can come all the way up and hands together and down. And we'll do one more time. Do that one more time. A sun salutation, simple one. Inhale out and up. Exhale, lead with the heart. And come on up into our flat back position. And then we'll come down, but before you step back, see if you can remember what foot you step back with and step back with the other foot instead. So I can't remember actually. But I like to try and change things around. And so either full plank or knee plank, and then slowly, wherever you are, actually kind of come forward so your chest is between your arms. And slowly, slowly come down from there, trying to let your chin and chest touch first. And then from here, let's just ease up into a nice locust pose. So bring your arms behind you and lift your legs up off the ground. Try to keep your chin tucked in a little bit to keep ease in your neck. And then come on down and either curl your toes under or bend your knees, but lift straight up to get as much action in your upper body here. And here we are in down dog again. And to go into, let's go into an inversion a little bit more. Let's lift up one leg. And if you'd like, you can bend the knee and look under. If you lifted up your right leg, you can look under your right arm. And come on back and then the other side. Lift up the other leg. Lift up your arm. And come on back. And then walk on up to your, actually walk about halfway up to your hands. And then come down, come sitting down. So come sitting down and just rock back and forth. And this is a relatively nice and easy hip opener. So what we'll do, and we've done this before. So what you're going to do is just bring one knee and okay, I'll do a mirror image. So your left knee will align with your left hip, and your left ankle will align with your left knee, and then the right, same thing. So right, but that's behind you. So it'll come behind you. As much as, obviously as close to these angles as you can do. So from here, lift on up. Relax your shoulders. And then grab hold of your shins and turn over toward the right. Try to keep that right hip as close down to the ground as you can. And then we'll come around straight ahead. That right hip might rise up. Keep it as close as you can to the ground. And then come over the left leg. And keep the shoulders relaxed and the facial muscles relaxed, of course. And then come on back to center. And let's walk our hands out and come on down to our elbows. And if you want to straighten your right leg behind you, go ahead and do so. It's okay here. You can actually, this kind of feels good, but doing a gentle rock back and forth over your left hip. Relaxing your shoulders, relaxing your facial muscles. Then walk your hands back on up and swing that back leg around and bring that in front and the front leg in the back. And again, so that you're lining up your knee and your hip and your ankle and your knee with both legs. So just get a sense of that, comfort in the position, and then turn over to the left and grab hold perhaps of the left shin. Trying to keep that left hip down as much as you can. It won't go down all the way more than likely, at least mine sure won't, but you're sort of resisting it down towards the earth. Just going into a nice little twist here. And then slowly release that. Ease and a smile. And then come on over to the other side. You can maybe, if you'd like, press your hands into the ground, and that might help bring that, that left hip closer to the ground. Closer than that. Very nice. And then come around to the front and bring your hands out in front and let your back leg come behind you. If you want, you can keep the back leg where it is, or you can stretch it out behind you, whatever feels best. And just like before, you want to resist that hip downward towards the earth. And just breathe here. And then walk your hands back on in and bring both legs out in front. And so from here, what we'll do is we're going to come lying down onto our backs. So, and you can engage your core muscles. You can just roll down if you'd like, or if you want to engage the core muscles, you can have your feet flat and your arms lifted up, and with as much control as possible, slowly down. I always lose control towards the end of that. But anyway, and I'll roll down. So now we'll do a few things for our hips here. And this isn't just for our hips, it's also this one that we're going to do actually strengthens our psoas. So let's see, I think what we'll do first, I'm trying to think of the order that I want to do this. Okay, so first, let's again make that 90-degree angle at the knees, kind of like we just did, and the you know, at the hips and the thighs. So open up your arms nice and wide, and this might seem like a familiar thing, but what we're going to do is engage the core muscles and come over without touching the ground. So there'll be a little bit more muscular activity in this. And then come slowly back and slowly over to the other side. Easy does it without touching the ground. Trying to keep the opposite shoulder as close to the ground as you can. And then just go from side to side, finding a breath pattern that works for you. But be aware of how you're breathing as you're doing this, making sure that the breath and the movement work beautifully together. So let's see, I started on that side, this side. So let's do it one more time on each side. And then this time we'll come all the way over to the right, and take your right hand and just place it on your thigh and open up your left arm. And if it feels really uncomfortable, you can bend your left arm and put your hand on your rib cage. Find a comfortable position for your neck. We'll just hold this for a little bit. Then release the hand and bring the legs back to center, pause. And we'll go on over to the other side. Same thing here. So bring your left hand on your right thigh. And just go into this twist. And then we'll come on back to center. And so now, we're not quite ready for total relaxation yet. So we're going to work a little bit more with our core. So bring your hands behind your head and start with your, in that familiar position with your knees right over your hips. And so this will be a little bit of a bicycle, like a bicycle, except what we'll do is we'll inhale, right elbow to left knee, and left and right leg extends out but doesn't come to the floor. And same thing on the other side, left elbow to right knee, left leg doesn't quite touch the floor. And so we'll slowly go back and forth. So I like to exhale as I come forward and inhale as I bring my head back. Exhale, bringing my elbow to my knee. Inhaling back and exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. And exhale. And inhale. So we'll do it one more time on each side. Very nice. And then come on down. And so if you have a block, I should have mentioned it earlier, but grab hold of a block. Or have a block handy. We are not going to use it quite yet. We're going to bring our knees into our chest and roll around, bringing some nice freedom into our hips here, into our legs, into our thighs. And then reverse direction. I'm even this is the first time I think I've done it this way. I'm kind of letting each knee go in at different times, rolling. I'm sort of stirring them around more than keeping them together. It kind of feels nice. I'd like to do it too. And then we'll come on back, place your left foot on the floor and really rotate that leg, that right leg all around the hip socket, making a nice, great big circle with your toes. Circle in the sky. Holding a paintbrush now between the toes. And then reverse direction. And of course, what we do to one side, we'll do to the other. So bring your right foot down and circle the left leg around the hip socket. Round. Oh my goodness, the clouds this morning when I went for a walk, they were so white and fluffy, and beautiful. So maybe we can draw circles around the clouds. The bright, white, fluffy clouds on the blue, blue sky. And then reverse directions. Nice. Okay, and then bring your knees into your chest. grab hold of your thighs and just circle your knees around your lower legs around your knees. Just a couple times, three times, and then reverse directions. Yeah, just getting all of our joints happy. And then we'll do the same thing, grabbing hold of our shins and circle our feet around our ankles a couple times. And now grabbing hold of the block, put your feet on the floor, bending your knees, and grabbing hold of the block, bring it under your hips, under your sacrum. You don't want that block, or whatever you're using, a blanket. If you're using a blanket, it's probably not as important to not have it in the small of your back. But if it's something like a Bach or a book, you definitely don't want that in the small of your back. And just like we did when we were doing our inversion with our forward fold, we've only got our upper body inverted. And so now let's bring our legs up over our hips, our feet over our hips, get an inversion in our lower body. And this is so wonderful. It brings circulation into our low body, into our hip area. You know, our hips are slightly raised. It just is flowing through our hips and into our upper body, flowing down our legs, through our hips, and up into our body, up into our heart. And then bend your knees, and let's straighten our legs and just stretch out the front of our hips here. You might have to readjust your block. You know, this might feel nice too. Instead of straightening your legs out, and it might not, you can bring your feet into butterfly pose and just hold that for a breath or two. But just if it doesn't feel right, keep your legs straight, out straight. And maybe you want to just do that one at a time. Just remember, please always do what's right for you. And then wherever you are, let your feet slowly come down to the floor with your knees bent and lift up and remove the block. And let's just rock back and forth, kind of doing a little bit of a windshield wiper here, but really focusing on the low back and through the hip area here. And make these movements slow and relaxed, because now we definitely are preparing for Shavasana, coming into our final resting pose. And actually, let's do a little bit of a twist first before we go into Shavasana, a nice relaxed twist. So bring your knees over to the right, and if it feels good, and especially if your feet are apart, it might feel even better. And you can bring your right foot over your left thigh if that feels right for you, and just let your neck be easy and relaxed. And then release your right foot and just hold it again. Hold that twist before coming out of it. Lift up the left leg, let the right leg follow it, and go on over slowly to the other side. And you can bring your left foot over your right knee, over your right thigh. If your neck feels right, you can look over your right shoulder, or just move your head around until you find that comfortable spot for you. release the foot and let that left leg just rest there for a breath before we come back to center. And then lift up your right leg. Let the left leg follow it. If you need to move around a little bit before you go into our final Shavasana, our resting pose for our class, go ahead. Otherwise, just start setting yourself on up. Letting one leg come out, and then the other leg, the feet are about hip distance apart. Or if it feels better with your back to have your knees bent, you can put something under your knees, or you can let the knees gently come in towards each other, supporting each other. No muscular action. Arms scratch your sides. Traditional Shavasana with the palms facing up to the sky. And it's kind of like a movement, a pose of surrender, or even reception, of receiving all the love in the universe. And surrendering to that love. Just allow yourself almost melt into the mat, melt into the earth, into the marketplace. Gentle movement of the breath, beautiful flow. Through our beautiful reciprocal relationship between the outside world and the inside world, the in the air around us, nurturing ourselves, breathing out, nurturing the air around us. So very gently start moving your hands and feet, fingers and toes, just moving around. And when you're ready, you can get yourself on up to a comfortable sitting position. And just lots and lots of love. When we come on up, we put our hands in namaste. And feel feel our thumbs gently touch our heart, helping us connect our mind with our heart, our thinking, so we think from our heart more and more. So lots and lots of love to everyone. Namaste. Have a beautiful day, beautiful week, beautiful life.